Hi there. So in this video, I'm going to discuss chapters 2 through 4 in this book called Word Magic that I've been reading on my Patreon, and I also included a couple videos on here, the first couple chapters. And I will provide a free link to that book in the description. So that way, if you want to read it yourself, after watching this, I think even if you haven't read the book, you'll still gain something from this, but maybe not. But anyhow, this book is called Word Magic. It's by Pao Chang, and it is a book that I first read about a year and a half ago, and it completely changed the way that I view language. I'm not entirely sure that, I can tell that it's amateurly written, and I'm not entirely sure that English is his first language. I don't think that it is because of a lot of the grammatical errors that I see in the book, but that really does not matter. The message is what's important, and the points that he tries to prove are solid. But it is not the most well-written book. But we have to remember that discernment is key, and just because he's not the, world's best writer does not discount the information that he presents. Just how I feel about that. But so anyhow, so he goes into how words are spells and how man, we are devolving. We did not originally speak orally. We spoke telepathically, and we also had many other abilities. We have been genetically downgraded. Essentially, when I look at the word Genesis, I see genetics, and I feel that the story of Genesis is, the story of man's downgrade, or at least the story of our last downgrade. We've likely been downgraded a few times. There was Homo sapien, and then we're told there was Homo erectus and these other beings that we are told were inferior to us because they were ape-like or something like that. Well, we don't know that these ape-like beings, like the cryptids, for example, who can travel in and out of dimensions, there is nothing to say that they are lower than us because they're ape-like. So that's something to consider. I mean, Homo sapien, intuitively I get the message that Homo sapien is the lowest humanoid there is. We are one of the lowest beings one of the lowest creator beings as far as humanoid bodies, but we have some of the most powerful spirits in these bodies right now. And especially right now, because we just entered the age of Aquarius. The age of Pisces was the age of ego, or the age of hell, the age of, blindly following, and it was the exact opposite on the zodiac wheel as the age of, I think it was Cancer. That was the height of the Libra. It was the age of Libra was the height of the existence, and then the age of Virgo is when we fell, and we are right smack dab across the zodiac from that. And so a lot of people that are incarnated here now were incarnated in Atlantis, and basically I feel that there is a reality split going on. One side wants to go towards a complete slave system, transhumanism, basically mixing man with machine. Then the other side is the, pure creation that wants to ascend again, go back to unity, go back to the old ways, that realizes, we realize that at the age of Pisces, at the very end of Pisces, which was December 20th, 2020, humanity was at the lowest point in conscious awareness that it's ever been. And we're going back up now. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm trying. Okay. So essentially we've been downgraded. We had powers. We were telepathic before. The Tower of Babel goes into how our languages were confounded. Well, It doesn't mention the fact that we didn't even speak orally before that. But I feel that's exactly what happened. And then babble is like to babble, which a baby babbles. And then we have Babylon, which is baby, and lawn. Well, when you put lawn on the end of a word, that actually means, hold on, full. It's similar to the suffix ful, so full of. So Babylon would be full of babies. And a lot of the words, and he goes into in this chapter 2 or 3 about how a lot of the words go back to us being sheep or us being horses, as in whores of Babylon. They use a lot of stuff that references us being horses because, horses are also a domesticated animal that, are to be controlled. Like the word stable, like we're said to be stable when we're behaving or what have you. And a horse lives in a stable, when you're being a good horse or a good whore. Manager, the word manage comes from managere in Italian, which specifically means to control a horse. So when you're being managed or the manager, you're one who controls the little horse. The horses, the domesticated slaves that are the humans. And then, now, this book goes into how it says that you need to, like, these contracts are spiritually binding and that you need to dissolve, like, your birth certificate and things like that in the physical realm. I don't resonate with that. I do not feel that we have to take the time to go and file a bunch of paper with the Matrix. We do need to, when we have become aware of the deceptions and the fraud and the consents that we have done because of implied consent or deception or what have you, we need to, revoke contracts that we don't agree to, revoke consents that we don't agree to. Now that I am aware of this straw man corporation and that the government sees me as an employee. I am not an employee of the U.S. Inc. I am a living, breathing man. I do not consent. You can come up with whatever is comfortable for you, but essentially you say it out loud. You can do it with a ritual or something like that to make it more likely to manifest. You can write it down, which brings the thought, to say it out loud or to write it down, brings the thought into the physical, which makes it more likely to occur. So let's just throw that out there. I do not feel that if you don't file the paperwork with the U.S. government, that's going to keep you in this reincarnation trap. It's all about remembering your sovereignty and who you are and knowing your power and standing in your power and saying that you do not consent. So, now the word water reminds me of water, W-A-T-T-E-R, as in watts of electricity. And it is felt by some that this realm was once silicon-based and didn't have carbon-based beings. And so something happened to make this realm go from silicon to carbon. One thing that could have happened is the introduction of water. And, petrification is something that is talked about in many myths. And if you go into and look at these statues, at these elaborate marble statues in these monumental cemeteries or in, various churches or different things, you can look up like intricate marble statues, okay? Marble is a metamorphic rock that changes. It's dolomite and limestone that has been recrystallized by heat or aqueous solution or electricity. Now, the human body is a lot of dolomite and limestone. It's the same stuff we're made of. So I guess what I'm saying is a lot of these elaborate statues that look like, that they are just so good that they just look like they're real, may be petrified people. Yep. And What the Flock TV is a station that talks about this on YouTube, as well as Mind Unveiled. Those are two good channels if you want to look at more on that. So I do feel there's a cyclical reset, and it's either the dome breaks or it cracks or something, and then plasma and water comes in. And I feel that however big the dome is how big the beings are. Like sometimes they may make it bigger than others. There's a guy, godgevlamste, that's GODGEVLAMSTE, that has a YouTube channel that is very good. And he feels half the realm is ice. And like half, we're only living in half. And that really goes along with, what I've seen as far as you've got a bigger dome when you've got bigger beings. And so if we're only literally living in half, that very well does work. I also feel that we are fire creation spirits and that we are encased in so much water. Somehow this water is what we are powering with our fire creation life force energy to keep this torus field around us, which is like, the collective consciousness. We're in this torus field. And magnetic is magic net. You could rearrange that into magic net. And when you combine the letters of the alphabet and transform them into words and speak the words out loud, you are not just uttering words, but are also casting your thoughts and vibrations into the Earth's magnetic field or magic field, the magic net, which is the energy field that creates the reality of Earth. If you are not careful and say certain words together, you can actually cast a spell without even knowing it. And so that's what we go around doing all day, is like, even with the 4 cardinal directions, okay, you've got north, south, east, and west. Well, that is a circle. That's the circle that's cast here, and the magic is going on in those places. Each north, south, east, and west, each corresponds with one of the elements, and you typically do cast a circle before you do any kind of magic. There's just so much here. I mean, the word democracy, for example, it comes from demos, which means common people. And crazy means power, might, and rule. I mean, essentially, democracy is mob rule. Whereas a republic, will take into account one's free will and natural rights. But the U.S. has not been a republic since 1871. The alien gods of the Bible are the Anunnaki, likely. There are also Dracos, reptilians, and Nordics that have an interest in humanity. We were told that the Anunnaki come from Nibiru. I'm not so sure about that. I feel like they may come from Aldebaran. Now, Greys, they're either humans in the future or a hybridized human tech robot being. They just seem absolutely miserable. They have a hive mind, but it doesn't necessarily seem like all of them are bad beings. I don't know how to explain that. But then, I really do feel like it was someone in Sirius that also helped construct the human body. It wasn't likely just the Anunnaki. It was multiple races of beings. Reptilians, Draconians, Syrians, etc. And the iris is Siri backwards, and the iris is in our eye. I mean, that's, what gives us our eye color. I feel there's a difference in our eye colors. It seems like blue-eyed people are older souls, hazel-eyed people are older souls, dark brown eyes seem to be non-player characters, and green eyes often have a malevolent agenda, just by observation. Not all of them, though, just as in any species, not all of them are bad. There are good and bad in any species of being, including the Anunnaki, the reptilians, all of that. I don't know about Draconians. And then I thought about the word autumn, as in autumn Ra, and the word autumn as in the fall. And was it autumn Ra that helped with the fall of man? You know, a lot of this sun worship, they want to do, you know, it's sun worship, sun worship, sun worship. And that godgevlamste presents a very interesting argument about the sun being a portal, that a parasitic entity came in and took us over. And I'm not so sure that that's not inaccurate. I mean, you know, the moon is possibly the Saturn moon matrix, which essentially it shut down Saturn, which used to be our sun. And it's harvesting the energy of Saturn, this matrix is, to run this reincarnation trap here on Earth. Now, Saturn is Satan. It's a sentient being. And it could be that it's those rings around Saturn that is like him being locked in the pit or what have you. I do not resonate with Satan actually being a bad entity. Not in the just organic sense of whatever original Satan was. Now, Saturn may have been taken over by this mind virus, and the mind virus, which may be a parasitic virus in the consciousness itself, could be Satan. But, I don't know, it's all just so deep, it's hard, you know, you really do just have to you really do have to just tap in with your intuition, keep an open mind, and, you know, realize that, you know, a wise man doesn't know anything. So, like, for me to sit there and say, for example, that, like, well, Satan is this and that's it. Well, no, I mean, I don't know that. It could be this, it could be that. Intuitively, I don't feel that Satan is as bad as the God energy that I get. I mean, you know, God backwards is dog, which the dog stars in the Sirius star system. I mean, I think a lot of this alludes to, and then the Iris is Siri backwards. We're calling on Siri now through this tech. I think a lot of this alludes to the gods controlling us, or the ones that think that they're controlling us, the ones harvesting our energy, could be in the Sirius star system, which I think is with the Orion, you know, star system. And as far as, and so then, you know, we can go into, well, but I thought you thought there was a flat earth. Well, it is, but the stars are like a map, and it's interdimensional portal system. It's not you fly from A to B. They're using portals. And I feel that like all of these realms are on the earth. Like Earth is way, way bigger than what we're told. You know, people in this world like to take it, well, then if it's not that, it's this. Well, that's not the case. If it's not that, we can only mark out that. There are still a million other possibilities. So, anyhow, I just kind of rambled for a little bit. I hope that makes some sense. You know, this book goes into, you know, I thought of the word sheeple, how that could be. They say it's sheep and people, but I think it's like the sheep of El. You know, they're the ones that are, the sheeple are the ones that are really heavily controlled by El, the Elohim, the demiurge, the Anunnaki gods. The Saturn moon matrix, that these Anunnaki gods, who are a manifestation of the demiurge, like the demiurge is essentially a replica of original creation trying to take over the natural universe, and it's created a copy and enslaved a bunch of divine sparks from the whole space, the real reality, from worlds without stain, and put us in here, or we came in to help. Either way, the demiurge is El, Yaldabaoth, the top. And all of these Anunnaki gods, Draconians, all that, they report to El. They are the manifestation. El is not a physical being. It's like a thought form. And they are the manifestation of this thought form. All of these malevolent gods. Now, I am currently rereading some myths and legends and different things like that, because one thing that I have noticed with some of these gods is that some of them did want to be elevated, like with humanity. Like they, oh, I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah. But then other ones, like Hestia, for example, in Greek mythology, did not see herself as better. Like, that life is life, and I'm, I'm here to guide you. And so, got to be real careful of any god that is, you always got to ask yourself, what is someone's intention? Like, why is this god trying to communicate with me? Is he trying to harvest my energy? Why do these certain deities, they won't communicate with you unless you leave them gifts or something? That's odd. Christ or Hermes or someone like that, even Thoth, would want to give you knowledge, to educate you, to help you out. Like, I mean, just because something is a god, don't assume that it's good. Just because something is a reptilian, don't assume that it's bad. I mean, essentially, every being is its own being, and some of us are good and some of us are bad. And that's why I don't like stereotypes. Like, people will stereotype something, and then they think that all people are that way, and then they won't get to know somebody. Or like, you'll have something bad happen to you, and so then you're forever fearful of that again. Well, I'm not somebody that's like that. Like, like, for example, I was sexually assaulted when I was young. I did not turn around and think that all men were going to sexually assault me. I mean, statistically, I realized, well, if I had this happen, the odds of this happening again are actually, pretty slim. And pretty much every woman is sexually assaulted. 97% of us. So, it's kind of like, well, I got that over with. But I'm not necessarily your, I don't know, your standard character. But anyhow, I'm going to include a few links in the description. I will include the link to the Word Magic book. I'm also going to include a link to the Adam and Eve story that was banned in 1965 and was a redacted copy, was released in 2013. I'm going to put those in the description. May even include the Gateway documents for fun, just because that's an interesting topic if you haven't read those. Kind of goes along with that there's a whole lot more to this reality than we are being told. Let's put it that way. And I hope this makes some kind of sense. I don't know if I'll watch it back or not. I don't really have the time. So if I don't make sense, I'm sorry. I try to make notes, but then I don't even follow the notes. There's a lot in here. I appreciate everyone that watches. I appreciate your support. If you want to read the book, I'm including the link, or feel free to join my Patreon. Have a great day, guys.